Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reisch, and this is Crime Talk. And this is the most fact-driven, unbiased, true crime channel. Well, today we're going to talk to you about a case that didn't get a whole lot of attention, but I think it's absolutely interesting. And we're referring to it as the C0vid cover-up. And it is regarding the death of Gretchen Anthony. So let's get started and take a look at the case of the C0vid cover-up. Who do we have involved here? We have Gretchen Anthony. She is a picture of fitness. She took her health very seriously. She can be described as radiant, gentle, and possessing a beautiful laugh. She was 51 years old and has a 12-year-old daughter. Then we have David Anthony. He was a trainer at a gym. People described him as intelligent, well-spoken, and charming. They also believe that he was an excellent stepdad to Gretchen's daughter. Now, Gretchen and David married at a chapel in Las Vegas in 2015. They separated in 2019, and David moved out of their home. Where this case gets rather interesting is back in March of 2020. Text messages began on March 23rd of 2020, and they say, "Good morning. Tested positive for coronavirus early this morning. That means I have to stay here for at least 2 weeks." Texts over the next few days described her getting worse and worse and saying she admitted herself into the Jupiter Medical Center. Another text said Gretchen was transferred to a COVID facility run by the CDC, which in reality didn't even exist. Gretchen Anthony's friends and family decided to reach out to law enforcement when they had not heard from her for several weeks. They requested a welfare check. Police found Gretchen Anthony's Mini Cooper in the parking lot of the Jupiter Medical Center. Inside the car, they found her purse. Now, on March 26th of 2020, police decided to strap on body cameras and walk around Gretchen's neighborhood to look for any clues as to her whereabouts. A resident approached the officers, stating she heard something early in the morning on March 26th of 2020. The neighbor said it sounded like a very serious scream coming from a woman, like she was being attacked. That's how it was described. The neighbor even heard the woman yell, "No, it hurts, stop it." Another neighbor said they noticed a soapy substance coming out underneath Gretchen Anthony's garage door, as if somebody had been inside cleaning something up. Officers noticed Gretchen's entrance door leads from her patio to her garage, and the door was locked and the key was broken off in the deadbolt. The officers immediately thought Gretchen could be inside and forced their way in. There was a strong cleaning substance smell in the garage. The officers made their way around the residence. It was apparent that there had been a struggle. There was a broken picture frame, broken glass on Gretchen's bed, and a blood-like substance stained on towels on top of the washing machine. After hearing the screams, a neighbor took a picture of a black Nissan pickup that was in Gretchen's driveway. The pickup truck belonged to David Anthony, Gretchen's estranged husband. The officers noticed that security cameras in Gretchen's home had been removed, but the video could be recovered from the cloud. The police obtained a search warrant and sent it to the video security company and waited. Now, while the police waited, they went to interview David's mother, who told the officers that David was going to Costa Rica. He had packed up his truck on March 24th of 2020 and took his dog with him. After hearing that David was trying to flee the country, the officers said that he became the prime suspect. The police then obtained security footage from the parking lot where they found Gretchen's Mini Cooper. The footage showed a very tall figure walking away from her vehicle. Coincidentally, David Anthony is 6'7" tall. Now, David Anthony left a sloppy trail from here. Investigators found him on more security footage selling jewelry at a pawn store, telling the store owner that the jewelry had come from family members who had died from COVID-19. Investigators were tracking David and Gretchen's phones, which seemed to be traveling together toward Texas. Police then issued a Bolo alert. That's a be on the lookout for David's truck. The police also dug deeper into who David Anthony was as a person. They found that David was a Palm Beach, Florida local. He once held up a Blockbuster with a toy squirt gun. On a separate occasion, he assaulted a police officer. He reached a plea deal on both of those cases and spent little to no time in jail. Police reached out to his former boss at the gym, and she said his moods would vary high and low. She fired him from the gym in 2017 for being difficult to manage, but soon gave him a second chance. In early 2020, he was fired again. The owner of the gym says that he was not the same David Anthony she once knew. David Anthony got very angry when he was fired for the second time. It frightened the gym owner so much that she texted Gretchen to, quote, stay away from him, end quote. A few weeks before Gretchen's disappearance, David Anthony had had a run-in with the police. He was allegedly following a group of teenage girls. He lashed out at the officers and was charged with resisting arrest. He spent a few days in jail and ultimately posted a small bail. On March 27, 2020, David Anthony's phone pinged in Pecos, Texas. Then again the next day in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The Las Cruces police were notified and they were able to pull David over. The officers asked about Gretchen, to which David stuck to the story that she was at the CDC facility getting treated for COVID-19. Las Cruces police were able to seize his truck and phones, but they didn't have enough evidence to bring David in for questioning. 3 days later, on March 30th, the Jupiter Police Department received the video surveillance footage from Gretchen Anthony's home. You can see a tall figure in the video lurking in the shadows on her porch, waiting for Gretchen. And you can hear Gretchen calling out for her Alexa device to call 911. You can also see in the video a tall figure that grabs Gretchen, muffles her screams, and takes her into the garage. David then notices the cameras on the walls and proceeds to take them down. The Jupiter police said you could clearly make out from the video surveillance that it was David Anthony who killed Gretchen Anthony. Detective Jared Kennerson from the Jupiter, Florida Police Department rushed to Las Cruces, New Mexico to arrest David Anthony. On the night of March 31st, 2020, police found David walking his dog in Las Cruces and arrested him. As police were putting David in the police car, Detective Kennerson told David there was a warrant out for his arrest, to which David Anthony responded, "For what?" There was still one piece of the puzzle missing: Gretchen Anthony's body. When the police finally took David in for questioning, Detective Jared Kennerson asked the following: "We have obtained a warrant for your arrest for murder." David Anthony responded, "Okay, she's alive." Police were shocked at David Anthony's claim because they knew it was a lie. David says that Gretchen was traveling with him in El Paso in a separate vehicle, and then she decided to leave because she found out of some illegal activity going on at David's company, and she thought someone was after him. The detectives tell David there is no record of her being at a hospital for COVID-19. They told David that they knew he had Gretchen's phone, and they saw him put his hand over Gretchen's mouth on the security camera and drag her into the garage. David insisted and wouldn't budge, repeating, "She's still alive," 35 times throughout that interview. During the interview, Detective Jared Kennerson held up a photo. "You see that little girl right there? I want you to look at her." David Anthony responded, "I love her. I love her dearly." The detective said, "Look at her. I know you do. Look at her really good." For a brief moment, it actually seemed like it may work. David Anthony responded, "I was the one who taught her how to ride a bicycle and shoot a hoop." Detective Kennerson said, "That's awesome." "Yep, and that's awesome." Detective Kelly Sanders added, "Then do what's right for her." David Anthony, "I would never hurt her." Detective Sanderson said, "Not." David Anthony quickly responded, "I would never hurt either one of them." Detective Kelly Sanders, "Well, you're hurting her indirectly by not letting us know where her mom is." David responded, "Well, I guess you'll have to ask her." Detective Sanders says, "We can't ask her. She's dead." David Anthony, "Her mother's still alive. I'm telling you." Detective Kennerson, "She is not alive." And then David tried a new tactic. He dared them to prove their case. Detective Sanders said, "We have it on video in black and white." David responded, "You don't have video of me killing her." Detective Sanders said, "How do you know what we have?" David Anthony then said, "Show me the video." Detective Sanders, "Her dead body?" David Anthony, "Just show me the video." Sanders responded, "Her body is right there." David Anthony, "Show me the video." Detective Kennerson, "I know that it exists." Anthony responded, "Okay, then show it to me." Detective Kennerson said, "You can yell and scream all you want." David Anthony responded, "Just show it to me." The detectives decided it was time for a break. They left and sent officers to adjust David's handcuffs. Detective Kennerson asked David if he wanted some water. David Anthony responded, "I've raised that girl since she was 2 years old. I know her voice." David claimed falsely that it wasn't Gretchen's daughter's voice. Infuriated, Kennerson decided to let him have it. Kennerson said, "You're a monster for what you did." David Anthony said, "I had nothing to do with it." Kennerson said, "You're a monster." David said, you're not even doing your homework, man." Kennerson, "You're a monster." David said, "Do your homework, Jared. Do your homework." Detective Kennerson said, "You're a monster for what you did, and everybody is going to look at you like that." After more than 2 hours, David abruptly ended the interview. At that point, David Anthony said, "I want a lawyer." Detective Kennerson said, "No problem. I'm not asking you any more questions." Ultimately, David was charged with second-degree murder and extradited back to Florida. He was held in the Palm Beach County, Florida jail. A grand jury indicted him on a charge of kidnapping and murder and then increased the murder charge to first-degree murder. As months go by and December rolls around and there is still no body of Gretchen Anthony, a settlement was worked out between David Anthony's defense attorney and the Palm Beach County State Attorney. The proposed plea agreement was for 38 years in prison, and David must plead guilty to second-degree murder as well as reveal where Gretchen Anthony's body was located. David pled guilty on December 21st, 2020, and investigators were able to find her body that day. She was just a few miles away from her house behind a Walmart. Detectives could not believe they weren't able to find her in such an open area. The cause of death was determined to be multiple stab wounds to the neck and to the torso. Gretchen seemed to have fought back as David had stab wounds as well. When asked why he did it, David made this statement: "My illusions saw the COVID-19 pandemic as an end to the world prophecy, an Armageddon that I felt compelled to escape no matter the cost. Instead of being a man, I chose to be a coward. I tried to steal what wasn't mine, and in the process, I ended a life. Her life had value, her life had meaning, and I stole that life. Gretchen left behind a 12-year-old daughter." David Anthony is eligible to be released from prison on parole in 2058. If he's released on that date, he will be 81 years old.